Anyway, as promised, we have our special guest who's online right now, right from Spain as well, and his name is Peter Sage. Peter, do we have you online right now?
I certainly hope so. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes. How are you, Peter?
I'm absolutely fabulous, my dear. Wonderful, above average, top of the range, probably bordering magnificent. And obviously, if I was any better, I'd clearly be you.
Peter, you're just amazing as always. Always positive. That's all I remember you as. Positive, always positive words and, always encouraging and always motivational. In fact, there were some interesting facts that people normally say. There are 10 top tips that people say in personal development. And, of course, we'll share a little bit about that a little later on. Before then, Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're in sunny Spain, enjoying a nice little, I'm sure, a cold drink whilst you're sitting there. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I think one of the first things to know is that we tend to put people on pedestals a lot, and I'm just a normal guy. I was born on a council estate in Leicester. We didn't really have much, as it were, but I always had a desire to want to go and do or be more. Every kid wants their parents to be proud. Everybody wants to realize their potential. And so I got into personal development. I dropped out of school at 16. I've got no formal qualifications. Luckily I never suffered the disadvantage of college.
Oh, great.
And went out, started my first company at 17, and since then 25 years later, built over 20 different companies around the world. Some have even worked. Some have failed majestically. Some have wiped me out. Some have been massive success stories, and everything in between. And it's really along that journey of entrepreneurship that I've defined a lot about what I do and what I bring to the table. And you talk about being positive all the time. It's a choice. Somebody asked me, "Am I positive all the time?" And I'm very honest. I say, well, if you really want to know the truth, I tried being unhappy once and I didn't like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peter, you mentioned this 20 companies that, of course, in life, people always say, oh dear, you worked on one business and you failed. Oh, you're terrible. You're a true failure. But you've actually worked on 20 companies. And of course, there's always failures and successes that, join us, in our journey. So tell us a little bit about that. How do you cope with the failures as well as enjoy your successes? Very
simple. Most people are afraid of failure because they make the fundamental mistake of linking their self-worth with their net worth. And if you do that, if your net worth is threatened and you lose money or what have you, then it's going to trigger the fear that most people have, which is the fear that they're not enough. So most of us will withdraw from opportunity, from taking risks, because we also feel we're being judged by other people, which is a complete misnomer. So for me, if you start to understand that failures are your capital.
That's interesting. Failures are your capital.
Absolutely. How are you going to be able to get good judgment unless you have experience, which is based on bad judgment?
That's a very interesting way of looking at it. That's great. Uh-huh.
So, go out and get your failures out of the way so, you can be able to go and create the life you want. If I was told anybody listening that, look, I will guarantee that your fifth business will make you tens of millions of pounds and be successful in the first 4 won't. Are you going to sit there and say, well, that's it then, I'm just going to work at Tesco's for the rest of my life? Or are you going to say, how fast can I get the 4 out of the way so that I can get to where I want to go?
Absolutely, yeah, there's a choice there, and there's opportunities that come your way, and I think it needs sometimes a little bit of guts to just say, okay, I'm going to just take up this opportunity and move forward, whatever the consequences, but of course move forward with the, I would say, focus that let's make the most of this opportunity.
Well, you talk about guts. I'll put it in a little more clarity for you based on experience. The defining characteristic of an entrepreneur is the ability to handle uncertainty. And when you realize that there's no certainty in life, let alone business, certainly not in business, then you can lighten up a little bit. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be bends in the river. That's what rivers do. They wind. There's no straight lines in nature. Yes. So, swing the bat. Here's the deal. You're never going to take it with you.
That's very true. And of course, the fun that you can have along the way as you grow with personal growth. In fact, coming to the personal growth point of view, this is all about, you talk about entrepreneurship, but at the same time, there's also personal growth in other areas and living a balanced lifestyle. You're an NLP practitioner as well, aren't you? Can you tell us a little bit about how you bring all this other knowledge into your life and all areas of your life?
Absolutely. Your attitude determines everything. Whether you think you can or you can't, it's always the same. Yeah, it's always the same result. You're going to be right. So, if you have the ability to recognize that you take you with you wherever you go, why not try and be the best version of you that you can be? And the only place that you're going to be able to do that is by informal education, not formal education. Formal education will teach you how to pass tests and work for somebody else. That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Informal education is life experience. It's going out there, and in an age where we live, which is one of the most exciting times in human history, you have access to information now, free, at the push of a button. In fact, you don't have to push a button now. Just ask Siri.
Just Google our favorite friend and Siri. That's right.
And you've got access to some of the best lessons that have taken people a lifetime to learn. I have a YouTube channel that covers a huge amount of information free for people that I want to be able to help. So there's no excuse for not being able to invest in yourself the time and effort you need to become the best version of you can. Case closed. So personal development is a critical factor of being able to be successful or happy or fulfilled at any level of life.
Wow, that's so amazing. Oh my God, that is just perfect. I love that. And I hope the listeners out there listening to this one, personal development on a regular basis, bit by bit, and every single day, getting a little better and working towards, maximizing your true potential. And Peter, you're also involved, you're a member of the Dangerous Members Club or something. What is all that about?
I think you're referring to the Dangerous Sports Club.
Phew. I was wondering what that was all about. So tell us a bit about that, because you seem like, a real go-getter.
Well, to be fair, the DSC has been around for many years. It started at Oxford. One of the founding members, David Kirk's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. And they were the first people to invent bungee jumping. And it's basically really a club that isn't as active anymore. I'm kind of an honorary member. But the principle behind it is go out and swing the bat. Realize that there's no certainty in life. And rather than try and live in this tiny little bandwidth that so many people try to protect themselves into, understand that the joy of life, the depth of life is in the distance between the peaks and the troughs. You can't get to the top of the mountain without being in a valley. And it's that. That's why I've succeeded, I've failed, I'll continue to succeed and fail. And that's part of the game. When I get to the end, if I was grateful enough to be able to choose the last words out of my mouth, I don't want it to be, oh well, that was pretty boring and safe. I want it to be, wow, now that was spectacular.
Absolutely.
That's the game.
Absolutely. And you mentioned about going up and down life as well, in the valleys and everything like that, etc. So, that's all part of the game anyway. And that's why we come to this earth anyway, to evolve and to learn, etc. And part of your, personal growth is also health and fitness, because you're also involved in the health and fitness industry. And, you're quite actively involved in that area. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, health has been a value of mine since I was a kid. I recognized that, I saw people who had lots of money and couldn't fix their health and were miserable. And the challenge with health is, it's not just about health. You see people who are healthy in terms of, they have a good sort of structural chemistry, but, they don't have vitality. They don't have that energy, that spark. You also see people who are fit as a fiddle and drop down dead playing tennis of a heart attack. So health and vitality go together. You've got to have both. So if you have the situation where you don't have the energy to get out of bed in the morning, you're not going to be achieving much in life. So having a passion for something, I'm a great believer that energy comes from passionate interest. But health has to be a value. And the challenge in today's society, where we're being told by the media to have a low-fat, high-carb diet and buy cheap food that's been processed in gym, is that we don't know what's real anymore. There's too many commercial agendas. And most people, unfortunately, when it comes to health, they don't oil the garden gate until after it starts squeaking.
Yes, that's very true, because it's better to prevent than to cure. And of course, they say, health is wealth, because without your health, you really cannot enjoy your wealth.
Of course not.
Yes, and that's really. And you're coming along as a guest speaker at the Yes Group Essex on Wednesday, 6th of May, and I believe your talks begins at 7:00 in the evening in the Holiday Inn in Brentwood. Can you tell us about what will you be sharing with the audience that turns up at the event, and of course, what can they take back with them from this event?
Great question. Depends what they want me to talk about. No, I mean, my outcome really for that event, and I always love supporting Yes Groups. They're groups around the world that get together from a place of trying to be a midwife to each other's dreams. It's a really strong peer group of people that want to come from how we can, not the traditional media-induced why we can't. And so it's always a pleasure to be able to speak at a Yes Group, and I've committed to going over. It'll be the first time I've spoken at a Yes Group in many years in England, and really my outcome is to be able to give people some practical tools to empower them to go out and become a better version of themselves, whether that's an entrepreneur, which is my passion, whether it's in health, whether it's having the mental toughness to deal with some of the stories that we all have, and everybody has a story as to why they can't do what they think they want to do, and be able to give them some insight and practical steps so that when they leave that evening, not in theory, but when they leave that evening in practice, they can go out and make an immediate difference to their life or their business or their relationship. That's what I'll be doing. That
is just amazing. I hope the listeners out there are listening, because we're really looking forward to a nice little full house there. I think we're going to be having a queue outside there, Peter, at this event.
I hope so. And I'll stay as long as the last question's asked. I'm there to be able to contribute. So don't feel free, don't feel put off that. I'm going to be in and out. I'll be there to answer any question. And also, as I say, now that I'm doing a little bit more back in England, for those that do have a business or want to run a business, I'm also running my famous 3-day millionaire business school at the end of May in London. So stay tuned for some information on that as well.
Oh, wow. And how would they be able to find out a little bit more about that? That sounds very exciting.
Yeah, you go to my website at petersage.com, and you'll see information on there, or shoot me an email. My email is happytohelp@petersage.com, and we'll certainly send some information on how you can participate in that. But it's my favorite flagship event, and I'm so excited to be doing it for the first time in 10 years in England.
Wow. Do you know, this is just a little bits of wonderful nuggets, golden nuggets that we've got from you right now. Can you imagine if those listeners out there come and join you for the 3 days, how they can go back absolutely, completely transformed? Peter, I wanted to say, I know you jet set all over the world. And as I mentioned, I know from Dubai to South Africa to now Spain, you're going to be back in the UK. You do a lot of charitable work. You're a philanthropist yourself, doing a lot of great work, and in between, changing people's lives positively. So I just wanted to say a real big thank you for joining us at the New Sound Radio 92 FM here. And any last messages that you'd like to tell the listeners out there before we say a bye-bye, unfortunate bye-bye?
Yeah, absolutely. Recognize that you're the writer of your own story. Don't let anybody else hold the pen. Nobody has the right to tell you can't do it. You were born good enough. You don't need permission. Stop apologizing for anything. And as long as you're living from a place of values and nobody else is less than because they cross your path, go live the life of your dreams.
Wow. Peter, you are amazing. You're actually just amazing. I'm going out there. I'm starting writing my own story right now. That's it. From tomorrow, 30th of April, my life is going to change thanks to this. So all the listeners out there, please do join Peter and all of us at the Yes Group Essex. It's on 6th of May, which is a Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. The event will be taking place at the Holiday Inn in Brentwood. Peter, thank you so much. And any of you guys out there want to find out more, go and visit petersage.com.